Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, I'm Caroline Heward and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. Our show today is Talking Heads and I'm an expert presenter in today's topic, which is about migraines. What's causing your migraine? And it's part of our Mind and Body Connection series. Let's begin. So I'd like to start off with a quote, and this quote is from Jerry Swanson. He says, "Some people are disabled for hours or even days by a bad migraine, and other individuals have moderate pain. Either way, workplace productivity is ultimately affected when the person has an attack." So this is somebody that actually suffers with migraine and his experience of migraine. I'd like to further look at migraines in terms of what the phases are of a migraine. Also today, I'd like to welcome our viewers on E360 TV who are joining us, and obviously all of our viewers on USA Global TV and Radio and all across our social media platforms. So there are 4 phases of a migraine. And the first phase is called prodrome. And this is the early onset. And people that suffer with migraines will be familiar with what's like the early onset, the symptoms that are making them say, oh yes, I can feel a migraine coming. So they will have that feeling that they can feel something coming on. And for some, it will be an instance of seeing lights flashing. It might be a blurry vision. It might be they just feel irritable and slightly unwell. And then they move into aura, which is a much deeper experience of the lights flashing and feeling dizziness. And for some people, they might actually experience a sensation of vertigo. These symptoms are not common for everybody, but if people are experiencing the 4 phases, they will be experiencing these types of symptoms. And then we move full on into the migraine. And the migraine can last 4 hours to 22 hours, whereas the duration of the onset, so the first phase of experiencing that there's an onslaught of a migraine coming, can be only a few hours for some, and for some going into days. And the duration of the aura, which is the flashing lights and the dizziness, can be from 5 to 60 minutes. So these phases can be quite quick or can be quite slow. But moving into the duration of the migraine, this is where the experience of the intensity of pain, and it's usually on the one side of the face, sort of at the top at the temple here. For some, and some people experience it at both temples, across the entire forehead and at both temples. It's individual to the individual's experience. And then after that time has passed, 4 to 72 hours, So that can be as much as 3 to 4 days for some people. There is post-dream, which is essentially where a person feels that has had the migraine, that it's like sort of the after effects of the migraine. So what do I mean by that? They'll feel very groggy, almost like a hangover experience, that they'll feel very drained of energy, a deflation of energy, and they'll feel extremely lethargic and almost as if like a sledgehammer has hit them, that they kind of need to sleep. I wanted to briefly look at the 4 phases so that there is some familiarity with a person that suffers with migraine, because these phases aren't common to everybody, and some people just go straight into the full-on migraine, but some people will experience a variation of these phases. So what triggers migraine? Well, certain foods trigger migraine. So for instance, cheese, dairy products, things like caffeine will trigger a migraine. There is conversation that caffeine can help a migraine, but if you have too much, it will actually have a negative effect of migraine. And I personally wouldn't purport that having caffeine is a good idea to get rid of a migraine. But certainly sauerkraut will have an effect on migraine and can bring on a migraine. Also sensory stimuli, so flashing lights, strobe lighting for instance, or if you're in a loud environment, that can have an effect. And if there's cameras, so flashing cameras. Also, if there is an uncomfortable experience in terms of smell, if you smell something, that might set it off. Or indeed, if you experience a feeling, a trigger that upsets you, that will move you into triggering a migraine. Alcohol as well has a bad effect and can trigger migraine. So if you've had an excessive amount of wine or beer, that can have an effect of triggering a migraine. And certainly red wine in particular will affect and trigger a migraine. So it is best to stay away from heavy alcohol situations because that can trigger a migraine. What I want to focus on right now is schedule. If you are overdoing it, if you have a lot going on in your world, if you have an overload of activities that you are managing, especially if you have some personal stuff going on in your life, such as relationship issues or a home move, or a job situation that's difficult to manage, or indeed if there's been any family situations that you're handling, a friendship that's difficult, or a relationship issue that's not performing in the way that's giving you a good experience. So what I mean by scheduling is, if you are the type of person that will schedule work over and above your personal life, then there will be a knock-on effect which could give an onslaught of a migraine. Now, stress here can create the migraine, and it's an overload. It's when the body is overexerted with what it can and cannot handle. And what I mean by that is, this is when you've pushed your adrenaline gland to the limit, when it can't cope with any more of what's going on, that will create the migraine. So what's the best way to get rid of a migraine? Well, there are many pharmaceutical medications that purport to get rid of migraines. What I want to look at is a very, very simple way of getting rid of a migraine. And that is to stop what you're doing, to stop everything, and to literally lie down in a darkened room and take a breath and take another breath and relax and stop any activity that you're doing. Because the migraine is your nervous system's wake up call to say stop. It's where you need to switch the off button. So if you continue doing work, it will be very challenging to move through the migraine because you can't power through it. You have to literally stop when you have a migraine. And this particular picture is showing that the migraine is focused in the one space at the top of the one side of the head, which is a severe state of inflammation. And it will cause a seriousness of overload of the sensory experiences that will make you in so much physical inflammation and pain that it will be uncomfortable to continue. So to lie down in a darkened room with the curtains closed or the blinds closed and to stop, to be under the duvet, to stop. And you might find that a few hours or an evening or a morning or a night will reduce and move you through that period of excessive migraine. So let's look at why you get migraines. This is the body's natural way to tell you that you are in overload, that you have to stop what you're doing. This is your body's mechanism to show you that it's time to stop. It is time for you to stop doing the physical activities that you are doing, the mental activities that you are doing, and to rest. Let's look at why this is a trigger. For some people, they might even say, I'm getting a migraine coming. And if they are saying, I'm getting a migraine coming, it will be because they are in what I would say is overload. They're reaching the threshold of what's physically possible for them to cope with. I had a client once that she used to suffer with constant migraines, and she has a very busy schedule. She was very busy in her work, and she was project managing lots of different activities. And she also had children that she had to manage, and she had a maid that she also had to manage and give her what was needed to be done and when to do things. So she was project managing not only her business life, but her personal life as well. And her children would say, Mummy, we don't want you to overdo it because you might get one of those migraines. And even the children recognized the fact that Mummy was in for a migraine. So they recognized the symptoms or the way that she was portraying her behavior. And then there would be a point that my client would get a migraine and she would only go into her room and stay there for 2 to 3 days. And when I explored this with her, the migraine, it worked out that she had taken on too much and that she couldn't cope. And that was her mechanism for taking a break. Literally taking a break from everything and everyone, including her family life and her children. Taking a break so that she didn't have to deal with anything or anyone. And when this was highlighted to her, she said, you're right. When things get on top of me, I get a migraine. And we all have different mechanisms of coping with our everyday stress. And this is one of them. This is one of the coping strategies for people that have migraines, to stop. It's the off switch. It's where they can literally flick the off switch to take a break. But instead of flicking the off switch and suffering to take a break. My invitation is for you to recognize when things are becoming too much for you, when you need to take a break, when you need to stop. And rather than getting that very painful and vicious cycle of the migraine, to stop and take a breath and take time out. This is your body's coping mechanism to tell you to take time out. I'd like to look at some natural ways of overcoming migraines. Some natural remedies. One of the key remedies that I can recommend to you is feverfew. Feverfew is a herbal remedy in tablet form, and it is an anti-inflammatory, and it is absolutely brilliant at alleviating the headache and the migraine. Now, some people refer to it as a headache or a very difficult and challenging headache, and some people refer to it as a migraine. And it's whatever your language is around what you're suffering, it will get rid of your migraine. And the migraine is when it is so severe and throbbing and you just can't move forward and do anything. So this will alleviate those very severe symptoms. For some people, it works very quickly. For others, it takes a little more time. I would also recommend having the addition of turmeric in your diet, which will alleviate any inflammation occurring in the body. Also, magnesium is very good to maintain a healthy level of the right combination of nutrients in the body. And a good multi-B vitamin is really good to alleviate any stress. In particular, B2 is very good for alleviating migraines. Meditation. Now, what do I mean by meditation? Because some people say, I haven't got time to meditate, I'm too busy. And the person that has the migraines will generally be very busy. So I'm going to give you a very simple way to uncover the word meditation so that you feel more comfortable with the word. And that is to breathe. When you breathe into your belly, when you breathe lower into your body, because when you are stressed, you will breathe here into the upper chest, and then you're only fueling what's in the mind and in the head. So if you breathe down into your belly, you will take the oxygen down from the head and feed the rest of the body. And so if you're doing fuller breaths where the belly expands, you will alleviate the symptom of the throbbing and the action of the activity that you experience when you're suffering with migraines. Also, when you are in a state of relaxation, so when you are under the duvet with all the lights out and the blinds curtains shut, it will give your brain a point in time to relax from all the stimuli, all the sensory stimuli of light, of sensory smell, of taste, because sometimes those can be overload and can trigger. Exercise. While you have a migraine, it's very difficult to exercise, but if you regularly exercise, even if you jog or take a walk in the sunshine, if you do any kind of aerobic exercise, you will feel different, and it will take the energy away from your mind and into your body, which will prevent the migraine. And sleep. When you don't get enough sleep, or the opposite, when you get too much sleep, it can trigger a migraine. So sleep is a balancing thing. It's a balancing act to make sure that you have the right amount of good quality sleep. And that means having a good sleep hygiene ritual, which means no looking at your screen at least a couple of hours before you're going to sleep. Otherwise, the brain will be highly stimulated. And to ensure that you have a good quality of sleep, that you refrained from watching any TV prior to you going to sleep, that maybe if you read a book or do a brief meditation, which will relax the mind. It is when the mind is over analyzing, overthinking, and in overdrive that the migraine can happen. And so it is about relaxing the mind by taking the energy out of the mind and bringing it down into the body. When the mind is in overdrive, that's when your head literally hurts with the thoughts. There are so many thoughts that it literally hurts. And so it is important to calm the thoughts down so that you prevent a migraine occurring. I'd like to finish with a quote here from somebody that I felt it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but actually looking at the reality of a migraine for them. Migraines are my body's way of telling me it's time to take an extended break from reality. I thought that that kind of sums up where I've been going with this, that migraines are your body's natural check-in to say, stop, take a break. It's time to take a rest, not just from the doing, but also from the thinking and the overthinking and analysing, to literally create an off switch for the mind. There are many reasons why migraines are your mechanism of coping to stop. And in my free consultation and in my sessions, if you would like to book a course of sessions, my sessions will actually identify the root causes behind what's creating the symptoms of migraine. Because for each person, it will be different. For each person, we are all different. We are all human, experiencing life and challenges from very different places. And so there is no one reason for every person. Everyone is an individual. And I work with Chakra Psychology, how the mind and body connects and what happens physically, emotionally, mentally when the person is out of balance. And the out of balance is the symptom that comes up. That comes up whether it's a physical symptom such as migraine, or an emotional symptom, or a mental symptom. And this is a physical symptom, migraine, and it's also a mental symptom as well, where the mind doesn't switch off. And I would love to help you cure and prevent you getting migraines, because identifying root cause will move you from experiencing this very debilitating experience of pain where you literally have to stop. Thank you for your attention and your interest. Please subscribe to USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of our talking episodes under the playlist Talking Heads. Please do reach out to me if I may be of service to you. You can contact me on normalstress@live.co.uk, or you can reach out to me by phoning me on +44 if you're international. If you're local, 07523 120 189. I look forward to helping you break through and bust your stress, literally breaking through the root cause of your symptoms that are causing you debilitating pain to the point that you have to stop and take days. How many days are you losing from your social life, from your family, and more importantly, from you living your best life? Namaste. And now,
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.